Howdy, everybody. It's Cody Boy here. Welcome to another episode of Cowboys in the Osage. I got my host, Jim Bo, here. What's going on, Jim Bo?
Not much, Cody. We got a good guest tonight. I think it'll be a pretty interesting show. I've known him for a long time. He's been a ranch cowboy, a rodeo champion, and I guess now a movie star. So
This guy has done a little bit of everything right here. He's a legendary guy right around the Osages right here. The 1982 Indian Rodeo Association World Champion, Justin Patterson. Welcome to the Cowboys of the Osage, Justin.
Thank you for having me, man. Appreciate it.
We love having guys like you here, Justin. That's for sure. That's for sure.
Good.
Justin, 82 Indian champion.
Yes, sir.
That's pretty interesting. I roped against you single steer roping lots of times, and you were hard to beat then. But and I knew your dad. You know, he was a national finalist, and so you come from a good background.
We all run together, Jim Bo.
Yeah, I know it. I've known you a long time. But you grew up in Kansas.
Yeah, that's where I started out, was up in Kansas.
Was that Nites or where was?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I was born in the old city hospital in Pawhuska.
Yeah.
And then we moved to Dexter, Kansas, and then we moved to Nites, and
Yeah.
that's where it started.
But you had ties in Pawhuska too, and you were seemed like always around. But your grandpa, George Hinkle, you know, he was a great family friend, knew him well.
Yeah.
We could do a whole show on him probably.
Yeah, I guarantee you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Justin, at what age did you start cowboying?
About 4.
About 4?
Yeah.
What age did your dad have you start roping and going to junior rodeos and things?
Well, let's see. It was probably 6 when I got started. And I had a Shetland mare named Matilda. And I roped kids in the alleyway on the roping ring. It was great to rope kids in. I started roping kids in that alleyway. And from there on, I broke my own horses. And he wouldn't let me go nowhere. He made me stay in that practice pen ride them horses. Shoot, I broke 3 head of horses when I was 11 or 12 years old. And the only thing I got to do was I went to Cheyenne with them. We always went to Cheyenne. Got up there and I was always dying to ride them junior bareback horses.
So they used to have a junior bareback riding at Cheyenne, Jim Bo. Did you ever see it?
Yes, seen it. It was tough, and a lot of future national finalists and champions started there in the junior bronc riding. It was a tough event and a real crowd pleaser.
It's real wild and woolly too. Them junior bareback horses took off with them little kids, and it was wild to watch. Hey, Justin, tell us about that. Tell us about you riding junior bareback horses at Cheyenne Frontier Days.
Well,
one of the biggest rodeos in the world. That's great.
Well, I wasn't supposed to. Mom and Dad both told me that I couldn't. So I went to the carnival. I'd been supposed to be going to carnival, and my allowance was $3. And back in, you could play any game for 5 cents. So I'd play $1 and keep $2. Well, I had to have somebody sign my release form, so I went and got Alan Keller. He's like a 3-time NCAA champ wrestler and bulldogger and turned steer roper.
I believe Alan Keller, world champion steer roper.
Yeah,
world champion steer roper right there. So.
1972.
Big Alan Keller, big guy.
Yeah, big blocky.
Yeah.
He didn't have any neck. His head sat right on his shoulders.
Yeah.
Big blonde curly hair. Anyway, he signed my release. And boy, I was pumped up. Had Guy Allen, all of them following me around to the bucking chutes. And
They were all your kids' friends. You're all about the same age, and you were friends running
just like
around.
me and Jim Bo.
Yeah.
We were all
Okay.
about the same age.
Well, we did the same thing. When my dad would go to Cheyenne, all us, Bryce Davis and the Fisher boys, we'd all go play underneath the stands and have all kinds of fun. Going to the carnival every time.
We used to rope bales of hay there by the horse barns,
Horse
you know.
barns.
Yeah, for money, you know.
Yeah. We match roped back
Yeah,
there.
right.
You know what I did in the horse barns? So I hate to tell anybody this.
What was their name?
They we would go. We were little kids. I don't know, teenagers. We'd go around all the ice chests when everybody was headed to the bar already, and we'd get us an ice chest full, one beer at a time out of everybody's ice chest, and that was our first. That was my first time doing anything like that, drinking any cold beer. But right there in Cheyenne, that's where I got my start on that.
Yeah.
Tell us more about that junior bareback ride.
Anyway, oh man, I was pumped. I was ready to get on him. Well, there was one little sorrel mare, and she bucked them all off. And she was a bad girl. So I got on her. Out there I went, about 4 or 5 jumps, and she was bad about hitting on her front feet and then jerking back underneath herself. And she'd just blow your hands out of the rigging. She blowed my hand out of the rigging, and when she jumped forward, I had my feet stuck in her deep enough that I made the next 2 jumps without no hands thrown straight out to the side. She bucked me off. When I hit the ground, my tailbone, I got up and I was walking back to the chutes and rubbing my tailbone because I was the last one. Well, they give everybody a shiny silver dollar for competing, but the winner got the buckle. And Paul Mayo and Ace Berry were the judges. And I'm rubbing my tailbone and about to cry. I ain't a-crying because Daddy would kill me if I cried. Anyway, I get back there and shoots, and when I did, Paul Mayo said, "Here, see if this don't help your tailbone." Hand me that buckle. Man, I stood up like a proud rooster then and really went to walking and forgot all about that tailbone. Well, I go over to show Mom, and she's standing up already looking.
She done seen you go.
Oh, yeah.
And she done know, she done told you not to go.
And Dad did too. Well, anyway, I go up there and I go to show her that buckle, and I'm thinking, well, is she going to whip me or is she going to hug me? She hugged me and said, "That's such a pretty buckle." And then just turned around and said, "Alan Keller." He's down there standing by Dad, hiding on the other side of his horse, and he sticks his head over the side. She said, "I'm going to kill you." But we went to the Mayflower that night. He said, "Y'all go with me, meet me at the Mayflower tonight." And he said, "I'll buy y'all a steak." Okay. He said, "Justin, we'll shine that buckle tonight too." Sure enough, he had no girl just pick me up and carry me around the dance floor and dance with me and shine my buckle. He said,
Did you get a spanking from your mom?
"No, but I got a good tail eating."
Well, she was pretty proud of you, probably, for winning the Cheyenne Frontier Days junior bareback riding way back then. So I believe that was in 1979. The buckle's right inside there.
1970.
1970. Wow. 1970.
Turned 10 years old when we was there.
They'd give you $2 to go to the carnival every day. You'd skim $1 off the top of the carnival money till you had enough money to enter the junior bareback ride, and then you conned Alan Keller into going and signing your release form. You get out there, your mom and dad done told you no. You get out there and you win it. They announce you win it. You're walking back to your mom. They got a whole line of kids behind you. Think you're the coolest guy in the world. Guy Allen's one of them. To go show off your new buckle.
Yes, sir.
All right. That's an awesome story, Justin.
Yeah, it was at the time.
Well, after that, did you go to a lot of rodeos with your dad growing up, or just some of the big ones like Cheyenne every year?
I just went to all the big ones with Dad, and your Uncle Joe was there.
Yeah.
He made the finals 3 times out at Pecos, and I went with him once out there. And we practiced all the time. I most during stayed home and helped Mom take care of everything. We had yearlings coming in for grass, and I had that good bay horse of mine that just got him broke. Matter of fact, Mick Foreman broke him for me, Paulie's brother or cousin, and I was roping them sick cattle when I was 11, jerking them down and tying them out there, and Mom, she'd come up and give them a shot. And I had them other 2 horses, I rode them too, broke them out there on the prairie. But
Well, that's the best ones, the ones you make yourself all the way from nothing, you know.
Yeah.
Most of the time, anyway.
Yeah.
Most of the
Sure
time.
is.
Did you ever get to go to Pendleton?
Never did, Jim
Yeah,
Bo.
I've never been either.
What about when your dad made the finals in down in Pecos, Texas? Not that many people know, Jimbo. The National Final Steer Open was held down in Pecos, Texas, a few years.
Sure was.
Yeah.
I think they went there from McAllister and then went to Pecos, and then they came back to Pahuska in 71, 72, I think.
That's
The
correct.
way it was.
You're right.
Did you go watch your dad down there?
I went down to Pecos and watched him down there. And that one time was the only time I was down there.
There's not much down there, is there?
No, and there was a lot of rain and mud. There was mud. I got a picture of Dad on his bay horse, good bay horse, and the mud's plumb up to his knees.
Yeah.
And
I
that's-
remember that bay horse.
And they didn't mess around like they do now. They rode 850, 900 pounders.
Yeah, big steers.
Big steers.
Sure did. A lot different.
He'll separate the horses from the men. I
Especially in the
guarantee.
mud and that old soft ground.
Yes, sir.
What else do you remember from that national finals you went to in Pecos watching your dad?
Wow, it was great to watch Olin Young, Sonny Davis,
Oh, yeah.
all them good old hands
I know.
that knew how to handle cattle and showed.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it was a learning experience.
Oh, yeah. I thought Olin Young was the best steer roper I ever saw rode.
I did too. Man he could break his own horse. He's a horse trainer.
Right,
He knew how
right.
to break a horse and how to make him work.
Yep.
But Dad wouldn't let me go run around with the other kids. I had to sit there on the fence and watch and
Yeah.
learn.
Yeah,
And that's what I did. I watched them and learned.
I was just wondering how many spankings you got from your mom for playing in the mud underneath the bleachers right there.
I didn't get none because it didn't get muddy, but before we left, we had a 2-horse inline single shot. I couldn't crawl over that tongue of that trailer hooked onto the pickup for nothing without touching the grease on it.
Yeah.
And I'd get it on my pants. No, I got some tail whippings in. Brand new clean pants that she worked to iron for me. Woo! I got grease on them. She did wear me out one time.
I did too on my iron pants. My mom was real picky about that stuff. Them moms are that way.
When they wash them and iron them for you,
That's
you
right.
might as well get ready.
That's right. I had to change mine every day I got home from school, you know, and put on my work jeans. Yep. If I didn't, I was in some major trouble.
Yeah.
Major trouble.
I remember watching your dad win Lenapaw. You remember that?
Yes, sir.
I was thinking he might have won it. Did he win it 2 years in a row?
2 years
I
in a
thought
row.
he did.
Yeah.
I thought he did.
See, and that's where he learned to rope at, or really rope was over at Shoat.
Yeah. Yeah.
We'd go over there and stay with Shoat.
That was like a home pin in him, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
But they used to practice up there at Shoat's house.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was built just like
Right. Right.
the arena down there below.
Right.
And yeah, he won it 2 years in a
I
row.
thought he did. I just remember seeing it the once, but I was thinking he'd won it twice.
Yeah, won or twice.
You know, I never knew that much about that Lenapaw roping besides what I've been reading about it. What about that Lenapaw roping, Jimbo?
I don't know when it started, but it was a big roping for around here. You know, everybody came, and I mean, not just the steer ropers, but the cab ropers and the bronc riders and all the top hands were there every year.
It was a big rodeo.
Yeah,
I've heard
yeah.
of it. I've heard of it.
It was.
Yeah,
One of the biggest.
All the top 15 hands in each event showed
yeah,
up.
right, sure
Yeah.
did.
That's
And then they had some good big jackpots over there too. Schott had some jackpots.
Yeah. He supplied the cattle too.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I said, they wasn't little. They weigh 8 and a
That
half.
in '72, I remember they roped them in Schott's jackpot over there in June, toward the end of June, and he turned them out on grass. Never roped them again till the national finals. And you see some of those pictures from '72. Those are big old sway back steers. Well, I mean, they were heavy, and they didn't draw them down too. They were fleshy,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. And that's what steer roping was about.
Right,
It
right.
was an art.
Yeah.
High school.
High school.
When did you finally get to start going to rodeos on your own? Was it in high school?
I didn't really go by my own. '74, I roped with Kip Collinsworth at the high school finals. And me and him and Mark Spencer, we went to a lot of the high school rodeos together. And we made it go to the finals there at Topeka, and me and Kip won. And that was my freshman year, and I didn't win anything there. But in '75, the next year, me and a girl named Betty Jones, she was from Abbeville, Kansas.
Bob Jones's daughter.
Yes, sir.
Bob Jones's daughter. Kevin Davis's wife now. It's Betty Davis now.
Yeah.
I know all about her.
Yes, sir.
Roping dude.
Uh-huh.
She had a real nice yellow horse one time named Moonshine. She could really rope good on.
Yeah, she had, she'll kill me. I can't think of that horse's name, but she had one that was a really nice horse, big horse. And she roped goats, broke breakaway, everything. And she could sure enough rope. Well, we go to the high school finals, and we won that. And then we went to Sulphur, Louisiana to the national, and we didn't do anything down there. And that's when I come back home, and Mom decided that, her and Dad decided, since I won the high school finals in Kansas, that I'd move back down to Husker with her and try to win the high school finals in Oklahoma. Well, me and Joel Maker was roping together, and we qualified for the high school finals at Oklahoma City, and we got our first one down. We was like 5th or 6th in the first round, and we already entered the Indian Rodeo at Baxter Springs, Kansas, and we took off and went to Baxter Springs that day. Next night, we didn't get done up there until 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning. Coming back home, Joel wanted to stop in Hominy, so we went back through Hominy instead of just taking the interstate straight to Oklahoma City. So when we hit Oklahoma City finally, it was 4:30 in the morning. When we get back to our motel, our room is destroyed. And Sean Burchett had got the key to our room and had a big ass party, or excuse my language, had a big party in it, tore it all up. So we had to go get us another room. Well, we got the room, and it's already 5 o'clock, a little after 5 or something like that. And we get our other room, we all just hit the sack, and out we go. We thought they'd transfer our wake-up call, and they didn't transfer our wake-up call to that new room. So about 7:30, 8 o'clock, I woke up, opened one eye and looked at the curtains, and I could see daylight. I jumped over and looked at the clock, and it was already 9 o'clock. We jump up, putting our clothes on as we're going out the door and in the car, and James DeRoyne's driving the car to the fairgrounds. We go to the back and start up the back alley. When we did, the back gate to the arena opened up, and the steer come out, and it was ours.
Did he look good?
Oh man, he looked sweet.
That's the way it goes.
They all looked good back in though. They all had money on their horns.
That's right.
But we got turned out there, so that blowed that deal, and I sure didn't want to go home because I knew Mama was going to whip me then. And I was 17 years old, and I knew, or 18, and I knew I was going to get blistered. But anyway, she was mad, but she didn't whip me. So we got turned out there, and me and Joel, we traveled together for another couple of years, up to 81. We traveled in a bunch. Tim Fanning, Mark Fanning, Jerry Skaggs, Keith Sweeney, Wayne McClure and his brother. There was several of us.
All the rope and Okies from the day.
And we all traveled in one bunch, and they called us the Wolf Pack. Nobody didn't like to see us coming. And they sure didn't like it when we got there. So We rode together for until 81. Yeah, 81. And me and Joel split, and I started traveling with Paulie and Craig DeWitt. Started roping with them, and Paulie and I went to we went to CSRA finals and IRA finals and all that. Then me and Paulie, we went to Albuquerque to the Indian finals, and I got me and him won it, so that was a big deal then.
1982 world champion.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's still a big deal.
We're sure proud of you.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate it, man.
We're sure proud of you. Back to Joel.
Cat could rope.
A lot of people may not know who he is these days. They should.
Yeah.
Joel Maker. You know, Jimbo, he, I believe, might be the only man to win the IPRA heading and healing world championship year ends.
Yep. I knew him when he was a little old kid down there. Joe used to go down there and rope with his dad, Tony. And Joe was just a little old kid, and he'd tie a steer at 6 years old or something, you know, there in the arena. He was a hand back then, you know, and you knew he was going to be a hand.
Yeah.
Well,
he could rope. He could dang sure rope, that boy.
it speaks volumes about that guy. He was the #1 guy for a helper at the timed event for a long time. If you wanted someone that was going to sure shot and for sure catch one for you,
Yeah.
he's the guy you called, it looked like to me.
And he made PRCO finals too.
Yeah. Yep. He did.
Riding that little gray horse, Alabama.
He's made every finals you can make.
He roped steers a little bit, you know, and,
Yeah.
and could have went on if he'd just worked at it, you know, and he just didn't do it. But he was tough in the single steer roping.
Yeah. Joel's pretty tough about anything.
He could sure rope him right across the line, you know. His horse might not drag him to him or something, but he'd run back there in time if they'd stay on the ground.
Yeah.
So,
But we had a lot of fellers that we roped with, but I think one of the best things that could happen to us is when Clay O'Brien and them come back here, and things are starting to change in the RCA. It's getting a shorter string, you know, shorter barrier and everything else. Back there at one time, you know, everybody took them down the pin and
Right.
just made your average run. But
Right.
things are getting faster. Speed Williams and them boys are
Yep.
coming.
Changed it, didn't they?
Well, Paulie Foreman's the one that changed it.
Yep.
M&T Woman's the one that created the crossfire.
Yep.
Right down there at Barnesdall Arena.
Really?
Yeah. And, well, it didn't take them long, and they outlawed that, so we couldn't do it no more. But, yeah,
Did-
Paul A&T Woman's the one that created
Did you
crossfire.
rope out at Dotson's quite a bit?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Never had the pleasure of winning that rope.
Yeah.
Never did. Wasn't like I wasn't trying.
No, but they had some pretty good ropings out there, didn't they?
Oh, yeah.
Roping schools and everything else. It was quite the place there for a while.
Well, they always had the roping that was, the team roping was the night before the Ben Johnson.
Yep. It was all nighter too, wasn't it?
Yeah. 400 teams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
She was all nighter.
Uh,
But,
I've heard about that big roping.
oh, man. It was.
And they say all the big guys used to come to it too. Every one of them.
Yep.
Yeah.
It was one of the ones to win.
It
For
paid
sure.
Good. Like I said, I never had the pleasure to win it, but I placed at it, and it paid.
Well, this guy caught on to that roping fast pretty good, because we do got a picture of him in the museum here, in the Ben Johnson Museum right here in Pawhuska. There's a whole section dedicated to Justin over there. And we got a picture of him winning the Indian World Championship, and he's already dallied. And the loop hadn't even sucked down around the steer's horns yet. He's already gone and dallied.
Yeah.
Paul Lee's ready to hammer him right there on the corner.
He did hammer him too. We won that round. But, yeah, the reason that slack wasn't off of his horns was because that cameraman, if you look at him, he flicked that camera just about the time I got it on him, and that steer stopped. You look at my horse's eye, you can see a flash bulb in his eye and that steer's set up just a little bit. And you look at Paulie's eyes, he's looking at my head loop, wondering if it's gonna stay on or come off.
Yeah, yeah. I look at that picture a lot. I love that picture. It's a really, really good team roping picture of you two guys.
Yeah. But
Paul Lee, where all did you guys go rodeoing together?
oh, me and him and Craig, we just mostly went to the CSRA and IRA rodeos, and we just stayed pretty much in this location. I mean, like Arkansas, Kansas, Oklahoma. We'd drop off in Texas, sometimes like Paris, and then back into into Arkansas. But we didn't go deep in Arkansas. Me and Joel, we went deep. We went to Texas, Nashville, Tennessee. We went a long ways off. We traveled hard, Joel and I did. Me and Pauline and Craig did too, but it was pretty close. I mean, it was closer to home. Me and Joel, we'd take off. We loved to go to California, Michigan, anywhere. Like I said, they didn't like seeing those boys come pulling up their little jackpots, and that's when they started putting numbers on you, number you so you could rope.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about that right off the bat. Did they make it where you guys couldn't hardly go anywhere when they started doing that?
Yeah, it did, but things changed then. There wasn't near the money in it unless you had backers, like somebody back you going into there, but we wasn't enough. We didn't need backers, but when they started putting the numbers on us and keeping us away, from the ropers we went to, that hurt, but it didn't matter. We'd catch them somewhere. They'd have to face up to us.
Heck yeah.
Paul Lee, he was recognized. He's still recognized one of the best healers of all time. You know?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
everybody knows. I mean, RCA hands, all of them know who Paul Lee
I'll tell
Foreman
you a
was.
little secret about old Paul Lee Foreman. That cat can rope Kez and team rope.
Yeah,
Man can do it.
yeah, yeah,
But him and Joel was probably two of the best
yeah,
as far as healing
yeah.
I've seen. But you could turn around and put them on a head horse,
Oh yeah,
and boys could drop a knot on them.
yeah. Paul Lee roped in the Ben Johnson time or two.
Yeah. Yeah. But he could sure rope Kez too.
Yeah,
He's a roping dude,
Yeah.
Paul Lee. He can rope anything with hair.
yeah.
That's it.
When I think about those foremans up there, Mullendorfs, all of them, they were all hands.
Yeah.
You watch it.
And see, that's the thing about it. Like we was talking about breaking your horse, your own horses.
Yeah.
Them boys, they could break a horse in 60 days,
Yeah.
90 days,
Right.
and have him broke where you could ride him.
Mhm.
But I got to take it back. Dad had Mick break that bay horse of mine, that good one, old Pidge. And after that, it was up to me to break them in.
Yep.
Yeah, them boys are cowboys.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah, I mean, not
When they were
just
on the
walk-
ranch, or they could go to the rodeo and beat you.
beat you to death.
Yep.
But I used to get tickled. All of us would be up there at Mully's working calves. Hinkle was up
Yeah, oh,
there.
yeah.
Joe was up
Yeah.
there. Well, them all would be off doing their own thing at the Dutchman.
Right. Right.
And us kids, we'd still be there at Mac's house.
Yeah.
We'd have winning calves. Allowed to have 300 head of them in 2 pens. And us kids on them Gallo single ponies, we
Yeah.
was heading and heeling them all the time.
Uh,
We roped until our arms fell off almost.
yep.
But, that's the thing about it. Kids don't understand nowadays what it takes. They don't know how to eat and sleep it
Mm-hmm.
every
Well, they've
day.
had so much give to them, and
That's it.
just,
But-
it's different.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like any athlete. If he wants to be the best at what he does, he has to practice.
Right.
Eat and sleep it.
Yep.
But like rodeoing though, team roping, kept roping that, you had to have a good horse under you.
Sure.
And that was the biggest part of it. If you
Right.
didn't have a horse, it didn't matter how good a hand you was.
Nope.
You wasn't gonna beat them every day.
Nope. That's right.
And that's the thing about it. That's where we got down the road because we had to beat them every day. I mean, every rodeo. You just had to draw a check.
Yeah.
And we'd rodeo we'd cut out sometimes Wednesday, most generally on a Wednesday, and go all weekend long. And then turn around on a Sunday, we'd try to end up at a jackpot somewhere.
Yeah.
Fill
So
it.
you just lived rodeo. That's what
That's
what
it.
it amounted to, you know.
We'd come home Sunday night and get home late, sleep Monday, get back up. Once in a while, one of us would have to get up before 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock when the books open at the next week's rodeos and
Right.
start calling them in.
Yeah.
Our moms were pretty good about that.
Yeah.
Bill's mom, Kathleen, was real good.
Yeah.
She'd let us sleep. She'd call the rodeos in.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for our moms, I mean,
Oh, yeah.
our dads too, but most of our moms, they kept their foot stuck in our rear end all the time.
Yep.
What's the most rodeos you ever went to in a day, Justin?
In a day,
Yeah. Or a weekend?
three a day. In a weekend, yeah, three a day. 4th of July'd roll around. That's when it really got. We always tried to stay a rodeo a day. But when the 4th of July come, that was the run. Shit, we'd love to go 3 a day for. That's when we'd leave the house, Jim Bo, on a Tuesday and go every day. 4th of July is liable to hit on a Thursday.
Right.
We'd be at 3 of them a day all the way through the week. We go 2 weeks.
Yep.
Cowboy Christmas. That's why they call it that.
That's it.
Did they call it that way back then, too?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It was always known as Cowboy Christmas around that 4th of July
Yeah.
time of the year.
4 or 5 days before the 4th. Most generally by the end of June, last day of June, that's when it started. And then you'd go for 2 weeks. You'd have all you want.
You know, my busiest month ever rodeoing was in August. I would always have some real busy August, very, very, very busy August. But I was so broke in August half the time, you know. It was real hard to keep going to all them rodeos in August. So
Yeah, that's what it was. I mean, if you wasn't tagging them every time you
Yeah.
nodded your head, you know, it was tough.
Yeah, you had to get a check just pretty regular just to get back on down the road, you know.
Yeah, because
Back-
you use that week to pay for your fees
Yeah.
for the next week.
Yeah. I don't know if they do it anymore, but back in my grandfather's day, in the cab roping, they'd split ropings. Like if he'd find like Clyde Burke, he'd say, "You want to split this roping today?" And they'd split it, and that just doubled their chance to get a check
Yeah.
and get down the road, you know, to another one.
Yeah.
They did that a lot back then.
Bunch of it.
Yeah.
Them old boys wasn't scared to load up in the same trailer as you.
No. No. Sure.
We'd throw bull riders, saddle bronc riders with us and cut gas deals.
Yeah.
Joel had a van, we'd just throw them in the back.
how many people rodeoed with you at one time? Sometimes
We went,
on the big end.
we left all night roping before the Ben Johnson out here at Slim's, Dotson's.
Right.
Left there, loaded up in pickup trailer and a camper with a stock trailer on, hauled 4 horses. And Joel was in another pickup that hauled 4 horses with a camper on it. And there was 3 people up front, 4 people in the camper. There was 7 of us. And we drove from Husk all the way to Gillette, Wyoming.
Well, that's a long ways.
That's long.
I've been to Gillette, Wyoming. It's a long ways across that prairie up there. Nothing there either.
Not back in.
Yeah.
There, you'd see a house light every 6 miles or something like
I
that.
went from Douglas to Gillette, and I thought that was the longest road I ever saw in my life. It was 100-some miles, and there wasn't nothing.
Nothing.
I think it's about the same way now. There's not a whole lot in between there. Not a whole lot.
I haven't been up here a long time. Went to the Crow Nation. Joel and I did. They had a big Indian rodeo up there. Paid a bunch. afraid. Cost me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't want to get into that, folks.
I imagine you got several stories we probably can't get into on that end.
That's a bunch of them.
Who are some of the top RCA hands and stuff you roped against and coming up in team roping?
Oh, when we'd go to Texas or California, we'd run into some of them out there. And J.D. Yates, Clay. Oh my God, I can't even think of his name. I headed for Clay.
It's still the same guys kicking their butts today that's kicking their butts back when Justin was in his prime.
Yeah. Jake Barnes.
Yeah. Big Bones.
Yeah.
Bobby Harris. I roped against
Bobby Harris.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. We used to go to Gillette every year out of Cheyenne. And we stayed with Nick and
Yeah.
them up there at their house.
Yeah.
Did you rope a T woman much growing up?
No, I didn't, because T was older than I was.
Oh, okay.
And him probably both older than I was, but T had already, when we got to running around roping against T and stuff, well, that's when he gathered up went to the RCA.
Started roping with Leo Camarillo right then
Yeah.
to win his first world championship with him, T woman. Not a lot of people know that he's really an Okie, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
Know what, Oklahoma?
not a lot of people know that. You know, I saw T's name on the on some old day sheets for Cavalcade. T woman roping at the Cavalcade. Did you ever rope at the Cavalcade?
Yeah. But it just wasn't my cup of tea, man.
Wasn't your cup of tea?
No.
Amateur rodeo, world's largest amateur rodeo.
Yeah.
Just wasn't your cup of tea roping at the Cavalcade.
No, we was always gone somewhere else.
It's always during Cheyenne, so
Yeah.
it kind of makes it tough for a guy to hit Cheyenne and the Cavalcade. So
I didn't even go to it when I was a kid, and then when we got older, me and Joel, we went one time, me and Joel, and it's freaking hot. We slept in the trailer, and I told Joel, I said, I ain't doing it again. So we never went back.
So, back in the day not back in the day, it wasn't that long ago, but it was a little while ago. Things have changed a lot nowadays. When y'all were traveling, you know, you didn't have the big fancy horse trailers, and I don't think you had big fancy campers or anything. How did y'all stay in between rodeos? What was what did you guys do?
You know, that was an important goal. One of the important goals to win, so we'd have money so we could stay. We won enough. We won enough that we could stay in a motel. But in the meantime, we'd rodeo at night and drive while it was cool. We'd get there, and sometimes we'd sleep in the truck. We'd run into somebody that had a motel room and was going to another one somewhere else. Well, they'd leave the key, hid somewhere, and we'd go in there and lay down, take a shower, clean up. Checkout time was at 2 o'clock or 1 o'clock. Well, we'd get out of there. But
About time to go do something and start getting ready for the rodeo just in a little bit, huh?
that was it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But sometimes we'd just pull her over. Whenever I'd get tired, I drove most of the time for me and Joe. And I can make it from point to point. But I'd be wrung out, tired when I got there. And there was a lot of times I just pull her over on the side of the highway and go to sleep.
Well, it's better than wrecking, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
You get sleepy, pull her on over.
I hope Joel hears this, because he said, "You want me to drive?" I said, "You awake?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "All right." We was going up I-35 towards Wichita. We was going to pick Kansas to a jackpot Saturday night. I said, "All right, take two." Joel, you got to understand, this man loves his sleep. He can sleep all day long, every day. We're headed up through there, and I fall back asleep in that, see that van going. I'm snoring away, pretty soon I hear something go, thump, 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 thump. I wake up, Joel's over there asleep at the wheel, running down the center median, and the reflectors are going right under the pickup trailer. And his old horse, he fight the trailer anyway. Oh, that son of a buck went crazy fight.
I bet that woke y'all up.
That brought me down. Joel, wake up!
Well, you were born right here in Pawhuska.
I was born in the old hospital.
Moved off to Kansas with your folks for a little while. Then you moved back here with your mom to Pawhuska. You told me that you worked on quite a few ranches around here. What all ranches did you work on here in the Osage?
Well, when I was back here, I worked for Fred A. Drummond and Chuck and Tom. I worked for all the Drummonds in Osage County. They're burning out there right now, and I'll probably burn off Osage County once or twice before, me and Fred A. But,
They got some big country out there.
yeah.
For a guy. Did you ride a lot of horses out there, or were you Fred A's right hand man? What was going on out there, Justin?
Yeah, me and Fred A. was pretty tight. I mean, yeah, more or less his right hand man there for a while, him and Tom. And that's when I first got married. Matter of fact, that's when Ben was born. So when I first went to work for Fred A., Kelly Jo and I was married. We had old Ben, and I lived out there at Quimby. That's where he was born. Well, he was born at the hospital, but he was raised first year out there at Quimby. And I was out there for, I think, about 8 years, 10 years, something like that. Well, matter of fact, Leslie Snively and Diana Drummond come out to see Ben when he was born. Isn't that right, Les? Yeah. But now, I worked in the oil field when I first got out of school because the boom was on. And that was in '78, and worked for an oil company out of Texas, and I made a bunch of money. And then worked all winter long, and I don't know how much money I had saved up. And took off and rodeoed hard for 2 years after that. And like I said, we always folded it up, put it in our billfold, and had it as a rat hole, so we'd go the next weekend.
So, did you have a bunch of old guys helping you out here and there, or did you mainly just do your own
No,
entering? Or did you have some guys helping you out?
We entered on our own. My mom, she helped me, but she didn't have to.
Yeah.
She'd ask me if I wanted some, and I'd say, no, I got enough. We'd go on our way. But you'd run into that one stretch where you'd have a dry run for about 2 weeks. Paulie used to say, now that's when a rodeo hot dog tastes like a steak.
My dad used to say, well, steak's on me tonight, boys. Round one with the red paper on the edge. When we were having a little rough run of luck rodeoing.
Oh, it was turbulent. It'd be tough for 2 weeks because you wouldn't scratch.
Speaking about your boy Ben, I gotta tell you something about that kid. I think you guys have done a good job with him. How long has he had a job? Since he's a young boy.
Since he graduated high school.
Yeah. He holds a job. I see him working everywhere around town.
Yeah.
Great guy, great kid. Always got a smile on his face, just like his dad.
Oh yeah, you gotta watch him though. He's slicker in the gut.
I know. I know. He's always pinching my wife on the rear when she walks by.
I think he's doing that when he's in high school.
Yeah, he ain't stopped. He ain't stopped yet. That's all right. I got that problem too, Ben. Same problem you got. Well, so you don't rope hardly anymore.
No,
What are you doing these days, Justin?
just I was pumping wells for a long time, and for the last 20 years,
Working in the oil field.
yeah, just pumping wells and working out the packs. I just changed jobs here March 8th, and I went to work for the Osage Minerals Council. And we're plugging those orphan wells. So I went to work up there.
All right. So you're one of the big dogs up there now.
Don't think I'm a big dog, but
Just bossing folks around, but then
no, don't start that. Them people's gonna hear this, and you're gonna start a fight up there.
all right. Now
I'm just.
he ain't pointing fingers and bossing people around. He's doing exactly what he's supposed to be doing over there.
There you go, bud. Just
That's
leave
right.
it at that, Cody.
That's
Don't
right.
Start anything.
What else has been going on lately? I know there's some stuff you can't talk a whole lot about, but you got to give us just a little bit of what you got hired to do lately.
Bo, ain't he? He
Yeah.
just
He
digging
knows,
on
he
me.
knows how to get it out of it.
I know how he does.
Yeah.
I knew his
Yeah.
daddy. I knew his daddy before he was born. When I was up there with Betty
Jones?
Jones,
Yeah.
his dad was just up the road from me for a little while.
You know, that would have been a good match to watch Betty Jones and Lynn rope together, probably, because
That would've been.
that would have been a real good match right there, because the two of them, you know, really, really strong women ropers.
They are. They were.
Yeah, they were. Betty probably still is. I see she's still working in processing crew and feed yards and the sale barn and everything
really?
up there where they live in Kansas.
Dang, there wasn't no better people than her mom and dad. I'll tell you what. Dad and Bob knew each other back when they were young, rodeo, and they were good buddies.
Yeah, Bob was my dad's driver. You know, a lot when they go to like San Angelo, had to drive all night
Yeah.
to San Angelo to the roping or something. Bob would load up and be my dad's driver.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I know old Bob. He was a road grader, built roads all over.
Yes, sir. He got me up there and got me started running the bulldozer. Plus, we harvest wheat, sowed wheat. We done her all. And then we'd go to the practice pen in the evening. Work all day long, go to the practice pen in the evening. That's what I mean. Kids don't know what it's about.
No.
You know, I ain't got no room to talk, but I noticed your hair's been getting a little bit longer lately. What's going on with that, Justin?
Well, they had the casting for the movie, the Killers of the Flower Moon, about those sages being killed for their head right money. And I went out there to the casting and done their paperwork and everything else, talked to them, and one of the boys told me, said, you ought to have a pretty good shot. So I appreciate it. Well, after that, that's when COVID hit, so I didn't get a haircut, and I thought, I'll just let it grow long in case I get a part in that movie. And by God, 2 weeks ago, they called and told me I was going to have a part in it. I said, well, sir, I've let my hair grow since we've done the casting at the fairgrounds. He said, oh, don't cut it. He said, we might want to cut it or just leave it like it is. I said, okay.
Well, for everybody that don't know, who is the director and the lead star of this movie that you got cast in?
Oh, Martin Scorsese. Is that what that's what he said?
Oh, Scorsese. Martin Scorsese.
And Leonardo DiCaprio and Robert De Niro.
Holy moly.
Yeah.
And Justin Patterson, 1982 world
What
champion.
about that, Big Daddy, huh?
That's an all-star cast right there.
Dang.
Directed by Scorsese. You got DiCaprio. You got De Niro. And you got the wild man, Justin Patterson, right there with them.
I hope I ain't watching this podcast.
Well, Justin, we're proud of you around here.
Well, I appreciate you guys.
You and all your accomplishments. If anybody wants to know a little bit more about Justin, all you got to do is come right down here to the Ben Johnson Cowboy Museum. It's located in historic downtown Pawhuska, Oklahoma.
And Cody will tell you everything, I swear.
That's right. I'll tell you everything you want to know about Justin. I'll tell you some stuff that he don't want you to know about him too. But you got to get up here to do it.
Yes, sir. You gotta get up here.
82 world champion, son of a 3-time NFR qualifier,
Yes, sir.
Justin Patterson. I'm proud to know you.
I'm proud to know you guys.
What about you, Jimbo? You got anything for Justin?
Oh, just proud to, like you said, know him, and glad he's being honored here in the museum. That's pretty special to have your own
Sure is
display
for me.
there in the museum, you know. And it looks good, and we're happy for you.
I'll tell you what, nobody knew I was still alive until Cody put me in
Right.
this
He put
museum.
you back on the map,
He
didn't
put
he?
it on the internet, and people called me. I hadn't seen him in 30
Well,
years.
well.
I ain't never forgot about you, Justin.
Yeah.
In fact, when I first moved to Pawhuska, when I got married to Lauren, I looked over there by the post office. I said, "Hey, Lauren, who's that Indian fella walking in there with no shirt on?" She said, "That's Justin Patterson." I said, "Oh my Lord, I've known Justin my whole life." Got reacquainted with you right there, and
Right there on the step.
every time we see each other, we're just laughing. We can't even get a conversation out because we're laughing too hard because.
Well, I know one thing, your mom and your daddy are good people. I've known them all my time. They're good people.
Well, you were talking earlier a lot about young kids these days. Before we go, Justin, I'd like to see, you've been around the world, you've done everything. You've roped everywhere, you've roped with everybody. You've made every mistake you can probably make roping in life and who knows what.
Yeah.
You got any words of advice for these youngsters these days of any kind?
Make you a goal and work hard. Stay true to yourself and accomplish it. If you don't think of yourself as a loser, and then not everybody makes it, but you can try.
That's good advice.
Setting goals is a major thing.
You know, set it and try to achieve them.
Yes, sir.
If not, try, but do it. If you don't feel bad that you didn't. You just go on with life. Life is short and simple.
Try till you die.
Live it to the fullest.
That's right. Justin, love you, man.
Love you.
It's been great talking to
Jim
you.
Bo,
Great to see you, Justin.
great
Glad,
to see you again, dude.
yeah, glad you came in, and
I'm glad you two had me.
yeah, well, you deserve it. You quite a resume.
Don't let Paul Lee talk bad about me, would you?
Oh, yeah, it's going to be pretty wild. You know, we got to get him and Pauline here together.
Right.
Holy moly, it might be some wild stories.
Oh, dude.
Well, everybody, Justin, thanks for coming.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
Jim Bo,
Cody boy.
it's always
It's
good to see
another
you.
good one.
That's
And-
right.
And we're glad to have Justin.
Jim,
Yep.
good day.
Everybody,
Glad to be here.
Yep.
get over here to the Ben Johnson Cowboy Museum right here in Pawhuska, Oklahoma. This has been Cowboys of the Osage podcast right here. I'm Cody Boy,
I'm Jim Bo.
and we've
Justin Patterson.
been talking to Justin. See you, everybody, next week.